Hey there folks, Pete here from the Irish Times, and today we're going to talk about something that is not often discussed in Thailand, and that's addiction. All too often you hear stories of foreigners who come to Thailand and get involved in drugs, alcohol, sex, addictions, and end up ruining their lives. Sometimes people who are not predisposed to addictions come to Thailand and then they find they have a problem. So today we're going to talk about addiction, and I'm also going to share a couple of stories about addiction because I've been here for 11 years, so I know a couple of people that have suffered with problems with addiction. So in today's video we're going to combine the topic of addiction with a mini tour of Bangkok. And I'm going to leave Google Map links in the description so you can actually follow the places I go to, because the route I'm going to take is a good day trip out in Bangkok. And it's my own little invention, my own route. So right now we're at a canal called Klong San Seb, and we're right in the middle of Sukhumvit, in the center of the city pretty much. And it seems pretty quiet around here, but you go left and you'll meet traffic jams and many people. So we're going to take this canal boat all the way to a station called Pan Pha Station. And I'll continue the story when we get there. Let's go. And here we are at our first port of call. It's a temple called Loha Prasat. And I hope my camera is doing this place justice, because it's absolutely stunning, breathtaking. The design, the architecture, top class. Really like coming to this temple. And it's just a 5-minute walk from the canal boat station that we just got off at. Last time I came here, you were able to walk in under the temple, and it's really cool. The temperature is a lot lower than it is outside. It's very hot in Bangkok now. It's like 35 degrees today. It's 12 o'clock midday. I gotta go in there. We continue the story. I think you're actually able to go up to the top of the temple as well. Let's see what we can do. We'll go in, we'll go around, we'll show you this temple. And I do like doing these kind of vlogs, these stories. I know I like doing the interviews as well, but a traveling day, a travel and a story day. Let's go. Yes, it's still open. A dramatic difference in temperature in here. It's so cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the top. We can go all the way up to the top of this temple, and that's where we'll continue our story. Let's walk out here, show you the view. Wow, stunning. Check it out. Stunning view from the top of the temple, absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful view of Bangkok. So let's get into this story. I was contacted by a subscriber on the channel. He didn't want to be named and he didn't want his location given away. He wanted everything to be kept private. So for the sake of this story, we're going to call him David. Now David didn't come out and say he was an alcoholic, but he did say that he has had problems with mixing alcohol and Valium, and he wanted me to highlight the fact that some drugs that you usually need a prescription in your home country can be bought in Thailand without a prescription, even though it's still illegal. We're talking like drugs like Valium, Xanax and Tramadol, many others as well. So David has been in Thailand for 13 years and recently he got into trouble with the law. He took Valium and drank alcohol and drove into a parked car. He was arrested, placed in handcuffs and spent a night at the police station. The next day he was bailed. He went to court after that and he paid a fine. When I was speaking to him on the phone, he said he felt very ashamed, embarrassed, and he said he felt like he let his family down. And he said it was made worse for him when a reporter lied and wrote in the local newspaper that David tried to flee the scene after he crashed the car. He said that was totally untrue, and now he says he feels embarrassed to show his face in the community. He also said he suffers from loneliness and anxiety. And he said that the pandemic and the lockdown really exacerbated his problems, and he thinks that maybe that led to taking Valium. We spoke for about 20 minutes and I didn't really want to push him on a lot of the details. You know, when someone opens up and they tell you these kind of stories, you just listen to them and you kind of feel out what they're trying to say. He did say he's thinking of leaving Thailand. He says that's it, you know, something like this has kind of pushed him over the edge. And he just wanted to highlight the fact that, like I said earlier, foreigners can easily buy prescription drugs without a prescription over here in Thailand. A lot of the time, the pharmacies, they won't sell them to Thai people, but they will sell them to foreigners. And I have another story now I'm going to tell you about a man who got into a lot of problems with another drug, an opioid called Tramadol. Oh, it is a hot one today, super hot. So we've just passed through the Khao San Road area. I stopped off to get a drink of water because it is so hot. We are in the hottest part of the year right now in Bangkok, and it is not easy being an Irishman. Anyway, Khao San Road was looking surprisingly busy compared to what it was a couple of months ago. It is absolutely great to see the Khao San Road area starting to gain business again. Anyway, we're down here at a place called Pra Sumen Fort. It's a very old fort right on the Chao Phraya River here. And this is where I'm going to begin and tell you the story about the guy who got addicted to Tramadol. So this fort used to protect the Grand Palace from attacks from the Chao Phraya River. It's a very old fort. Anyway, the story we're going to get into now is about an American who was addicted to Tramadol. Now, if you don't know what Tramadol is, it's an opioid. It's a very serious drug. And this man was an addict, a heroin addict back in the States, and he actually beat the addiction back in the States. Then he came to Thailand and he enrolled in I don't know what it was, some sort of like Buddhist meditation course. That's why he was in Thailand, and he was studying this course, and then he ended up partying a lot, and then he found Tramadol and he started taking Tramadol, a really serious opioid. He was buying it in the pharmacies over here, and he became heavily addicted to Tramadol. And then when he couldn't get high anymore from the Tramadol, what do you think happened? He switched back to heroin and he became a serious heroin addict again. He was injecting heroin, and what happened to him was he ended up spending all his money, about 400,000 or 500,000 baht, all his savings, and he had to go back to the States. Last thing I heard was his family had to bail him out. He wasn't a friend of mine, he was a friend of a friend. My friend really tried to help him and tried to get him to beat his addiction, but he just couldn't. He said he was just a lost cause, and the best thing for him to do was to get out of Thailand and go back and be with his family. I think at the end he started borrowing money from, let's just say, undesirable Thai people. Maybe, not going to say organized crime, but we're delving down, you know, if you can't get money from everywhere else and you can't get money from the bank, sometimes you turn to people to get money, and if you can't pay that money back, you know what's going to happen. and he was going down that road. So he would have ended up dead if he stayed here any longer. You don't want to mess around with drugs in Thailand, even though, let's be honest, it's like everywhere else. Just because the laws in Thailand are really strict doesn't mean you can't find drugs here. So we've been on the canal already today. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch it up. We're going to get a boat on the Chao Phraya and we're going to go on to the next destination. Let's go. Here's my Titanic impression. Well, this is turning out to be a really cool day so far. I didn't think that boat ride was going to be as good as it was. It was really, really cool. I was the only person on the top deck of the boat. Had a bit of fun cruising down the Chao Phraya. And now we're at a place called Charung Krung 32. It's a kind of a back alley soy with loads of really cool street art, and it's a good place to come if you want to take photos. And you might have seen it in some of my videos. I've been down here. I think I've been down here maybe twice. I actually interviewed Bangkok Path down here as well, and you might think, why did you interview him down here, Pete? I just think it sets the scene for Bangkok really well, doesn't it? You got tuk-tuks, you got really epic street art. Really cool stuff. There's a bar down there as well. The Chao Phraya River is right there as well, and opposite on the other side is Icon Siam shopping mall. I've never been in that bar, but it's a riverside bar. I'd imagine it's pretty good. So here we go, next thing about addiction. I suppose we can't make a video about addiction and not mention alcohol. Probably the most common form of addiction going. And what I've noticed is a lot of foreigners will have alcohol problems back in their home country. They'll come to Thailand and it's a lot easier for them to hide their problems because they're in tourist areas and there's people coming and going all the time, holiday makers moving in and out, and they're with other alcoholics as well. So it's far easier for them to drink their problems away and drink their money away. And often you'll see a lot of homeless men. If you go to Pattaya and you go down Beach Road, you'll see a lot of homeless men sitting outside drinking beer on the beach. You know, they buy the beer in a 7-Eleven because it's cheap and they'll drink it on Beach Road, and it's a sad sight to see, you know, very sad to see. Check out the inside of the tuk-tuk. Huh? Pete the tuk-tuk man, huh? What do you think, folks? Would you take a fare off me? 100 baht, loi baht, loi nung. 100 baht. Where you go? Where you go? I can say one thing. There are a lot of... Oh, don't fall. There are a lot of tuk-tuks around the place now. I've been getting hassled all day. Where you going? Where you going? What are you doing? And I haven't been hassled probably for about 1.5 2 years. Like, you know, really hassled by the tuk-tuk guys. And I'm not going to complain because those guys haven't worked for a long time and they see tourists around now and it's good. They're back working again. We're getting back to the old times. We can't make a video about addiction as well and not mention sex because Thailand has a red light industry, it's no secret. And there are guys that come to Thailand and they become sex addicts. Let's call a spade, it's the truth. I don't want to sound crude because I don't really like talking about sex on the internet. It's not something it doesn't really interest me, but the topic about sex addiction, it's a real thing, you know. Over here, Thailand has a sex industry, it's no secret. And there are people that come over here and they do what they do. Well, no judgment on my part. Whatever you want to do, you do. It's up to you how you live your life. But there are guys that become sex addicts. That is no secret. Now, I can't make a video and not give you tips and advice of how to not become an addict. And it's not really how not to become an addict. It's just kind of like my story, how I did it. This is a Banksy. Not a Banksy, this is Alex Face, not Banksy. Banksy's another famous graffiti artist. This is Alex Face, very famous graffiti artist. The first thing is, the people that you surround yourself with is very important, because you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're hanging around a bar and you're meeting just people in a bar all the time, that's your social outlet, chances are you're spending too much money and you're drinking too much. And that's not good for your head, your mental health. And in the long run, it's not going to get you anywhere good. So be careful of who you surround yourself with. Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I've cut people out in my life that I thought weren't good for me. It's the only way to do it. And the next one is, don't live in a party town. God, that sun is bright. Thailand is a great place to live, really is a great place to live. But if you live in a party town, you're in that environment all the time. You're seeing people party, you're seeing people drink all the time. There's drugs available everywhere you are. Long term, I don't think that's a good strategy. So what I did was, I didn't want to be in that environment. So I lived in Bangkok, and I made sure that I wasn't going to live in central Bangkok, Sukhumvit, and I moved into the Ratchada area, which is another big suburb, pretty central but not downtown. I lived there for like 7 years or 8 years. It's only recently that I actually moved into Sukhumvit, the center of Bangkok. But I also know that I'll never be an alcoholic. I'm 34, and yeah, I feel like I'm pretty healthy and I live a healthy lifestyle. But I'm also very careful of the fact that, well, you know, I remember my mother and father telling me when I was younger, like, never think that you're better than anyone with an addiction, because you don't know that there could be something out there that you haven't found yet that could make you an addict. So I've always kept that in my mind as well, you know. And sometimes addiction creeps up on people. You might be a social drinker while you're younger, and then something bad happens in your life as you get older, and then you turn to the drink. So I'm fully aware that I'm not an alcoholic and I'm not a drug addict, but, you know, hopefully not. But in the future, you never know what could happen to you. So I always keep that in my mind. I'm always pretty conscious of that. And no judgment as well either, you know. I have really a lot of respect for anyone who's overcome an addiction. I already said this in a previous video when I interviewed Ryan, the Naked Guru, although he's changed his channel now to Life in Bamboo. I interviewed him, and he's a recovered alcoholic. And I have great admiration for anyone who has been an alcoholic or any kind of addiction and has overcome their addiction. You know, fair play to you, well done. It's certainly not easy. I've covered a lot of ground today. I've been going for about 5 hours now, and I'm tired. It's hot and I'm tired, and I'm going home. I'm going home to relax for the evening. So thanks very much, and listen, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. We're not far away from hitting 10k. I keep saying it, but it's true. I can see it now. It's closer than ever. It's my goal. It's good to have goals in your life, and the 10k is my ultimate priority at the moment. So please hit the subscription button, like the video, leave me a comment what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm going home now for a cup of tea. See you later.